Hello, Bit Squad. Welcome back to the channel. Today, you guys are going to be listening to episode 23 of my podcast, Beards and Bitcoins. Today, we were joined by Armando from CryptoTurp. You guys may recognize him as a Bit Squad official member, and also Bill Ottman from the social media platform Minds. We talked a lot about decentralization and censorship in regards to exchanges and social media. We also talked about JPM coin and what that means for crypto. So make sure you guys give this one a listen. Talk to you later.
Welcome back to your newest favorite podcast, Beards and Bitcoins, where BitBoy and J-Chains get together each week to talk about crypto and things happening in the community. They will bring you some special guests and giveaways, so make sure you're subscribed. For all show-related news, you can find the guys on various social media outlets. Everything is listed on the official show Twitter account, @BeardsBitcoins. Now, without further introduction, two dudes that have beards, like Bitcoins, and want to talk to you about both, BitBoy and J-Chains.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to your favorite podcast, episode number 23 today of Beards and Bitcoins. I am your co-host, BitBoy, and this is your other co-host, J-Chains. What is going on?
What is up, everybody? Hope you're having yourself a great weekend. We got a special episode today. We told you on last week's episode that we were going to start mixing in a few special news episodes, peppering them in on the weekends. So this is our first one. Sunday, here we go. You'll hear it on Monday. Joined with us today, we've got Bill Ottman, who's the CEO of Minds.com. It is a partially decentralized open source social media platform, and we'll get much more into it in a little bit, as well as Armando from CryptoTurps. Is that correct? CryptoTurp.io?
CryptoTurp.io, you got it.
Perfect.
Right. So Armando and I got to spend a little bit of time together in Las Vegas. We at World CryptoCon. He was just like kind of a guy in my community, and so were you. You were in there too.
We all did. We were roomies.
Right. We were roomies. Yeah. So Armando hit me up. He's like, "I'm going to World CryptoCon. Do you have any ideas of where to stay?" And I said, "Well, you can sleep on my floor." So he slept on my floor. I came in like real late, and he was all in the corner, curled up in fetal position. Eventually he was able to move to a bed, not my bed, a different bed. But anyways, guys, so it's definitely good to have you guys on today. So, and Armando, can you just give us a little quick rundown about what you do with CryptoTurp? It's really cool. It's very unique. So if you could kind of let everybody know, that'd be cool.
Sure. My name is Armando, and I am a sign language interpreter, nationally certified by education, and crypto nerd enthusiast by choice. Going to all of these different things after getting bit by the crypto bug, I saw all of this new information, this new technology, this new vocabulary, and if I was going to try to explain it to a deaf friend of mine, I would have no idea how to do it. And so out of that vacuum, created a passion for trying to create some signs in American Sign Language and explaining that, creating video content for both deaf and ASL interpreters alike. And that's pretty much it so far.
Very cool, man. Cool project. I loved learning all about it when I mentioned Vegas. And Bill, real quickly, let us know what is Minds.com all about.
Yeah, so we're an open source social networking platform, sort of with decentralized components. We use Ethereum and WebTorrent, and now we're at ETH Denver this weekend. We just launched actually a fully decentralized prototype that leverages the DAT protocol, which is sort of more torrent-based. But anyway, you earn crypto for your contributions on Minds. You can then use your tokens to boost your posts for more exposure, wire them peer-to-peer to other users. And you could even launch your own node, your own social network with our stack. So yeah, that's kind of the high level.
Cool. What ultimately got you into the crypto space?
I mean, open source brought me there. Bitcoin, open source money, decentralized, power to the people. That's what it's always been about to me. Yeah.
Freedom.
Yeah, freedom.
Absolutely. Control your keys, control your money. We've been learning all about that, and that's some of the things that we want to talk about today aren't really so much about security and stuff, but it's more about what's going on in the world right now. Let's talk about decentralization. Let's talk about social media and how that's playing a role in the crypto space, because I think we talked on that with Pomp, right? BitBoy, that, it's you've got some people in social media that have all the influence, or at least a big portion of it, and they might not be the most qualified. So,
it's really difficult to have. It's nearly impossible to have totally decentralized social media, and the reason, in my opinion, for that is because kind of the first movers on whatever platform, and kind of a decentralized setup, they're going to kind of control it. If you look at something like Steam or Steam It, a lot of people really like it. I'm not a huge fan of it. I actually hate it. I don't like their video platform. I don't think it's very effective. I don't think it works very well. And it is very centralized in terms of the people that got on there first and got out to the biggest lead. It's kind of impossible to crack into that. And the system is kind of, it monetarily rewards people in cryptocurrency for how much engagement their posts get and things like that. When you got these first movers who have the lion's share of all of the engagement already, then in that way it becomes centralized. I think it's going to be a while before we can kind of figure out an actual fully decentralized system, because it's pretty complicated. Is that your kind of experience, Bill?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, on Steam, the more Steam you have, the more voting power you have, which I think, I get why they did it like that. And, I'm not judging. At the end of the day, I think it's an interesting experiment. We do where everyone's vote is equal. It's based on raw, unique engagement you're receiving from the community, not like really much. I mean, people with more influence, like, big names who come, like, yeah, they're going to be able to earn more tokens because they have a bigger audience. So I think that getting away from that is going to be very difficult. But at the same time, what we're finding is that the small content creators actually are having an easier time getting the word out about their content on Minds, even than on Facebook. Because on Facebook, okay, yeah, they have billions of users, but the algorithms are so ridiculous that you can hardly even reach anybody. There's no reward system. So, and yeah, I mean, decentralization is going to take a really long time. Like, and on blockchains particularly, like DAT and IPFS actually are a bit more realistic for, the type of content, the type of features that people demand. But it's also like centralization isn't evil. It's more just balancing those, giving as much power to the users to control their experience as possible, and just engineering as much principle into the product as you can.
Yeah, I believe I understand what you're saying about centralization is not evil, but it's very corruptible. And when we look at things like Facebook and like Twitter that almost become political arms of certain political parties, that's where it gets super, super, super dangerous. But, like with Facebook, there's still a lot of opportunity out there. For instance, I closed my Facebook account once I left my last job and I went full-time crypto because, I don't like the centralization of it. And then now I've stumbled into this brand new business that I have, and I need a Facebook, so I didn't want to use –
don't.
Well, for this business, I do, for the simple fact that Facebook groups they're like raffles for signed football helmets. Headliner Sports Break, quick self-promotion there. But with the Facebook groups, you have a built-in audience, so you can kind of start this business one day and be making money like in a very short period of time. But I didn't want to keep all the same friends that I had, because my whole point was to kind of pull out of that and to not let Facebook into my real life. And so I've got this whole fake account I use.
Better be careful. They might ban you for that.
And they may. And that's the thing, is they kind of just pick and choose who they want to ban and stuff like that. I mean, we all saw what happened with, not saying I agree with this guy, but Alex Jones, made big headlines by getting banned from, basically all social media. It's kind of like they blacklisted them, all of them together. That shows not just the centralization of the individual platforms, but really the centralization of all of those biggest social media platforms working together.
Yeah, I mean, that aspect of centralization is extremely dangerous. I'm more talking about like a server itself is not evil. Right. Obviously, yeah, we want more peer-to-peer systems. We need consistent policies. We need, even the inability of platforms to even censor people in the first place. So, yeah, but I'm curious. I don't think I've seen Armando. We got to connect on Minds, dude.
Yeah, actually, I just sent you a request a little, maybe about an hour or two ago.
Oh, nice.
At Armando B. So
Okay.
do that before too long.
So yeah, so it turns out, we were going to have Armando on. We're, for you guys that, are kind of catching here in the middle, like we're going to be talking news. We're going to have several news stories we're going to cover at the end, but we do want to talk about Minds and centralization versus decentralization, things like that. And so we already had planned on having Armando on, like we've been talking to him for a while about coming on the show. Mm-hmm. And it just so happened that we also got, Bill on, and Armando is a Minds user. He's actually the first person who told me about Minds a couple months ago. So just kind of a weird coincidence there. But if you could give us your, what's your impression of Minds, what turns you on to wanting to use it, and kind of what's been your user experience?
Sure. So I started with Minds, like you said, a couple months ago. And just from the onset, I was a big believer in the mission and the vision. It's, the goal is to be fully decentralized, open source, not controlled by any one central authority. And the older I get, the more passionate I am about all things liberty and freedom related. I have had my news feed manipulated by the likes of Facebook and even Twitter, although I can curate a little bit better on Twitter. So I deleted my Facebook account a few weeks ago, and I'm making pretty much my primary source of social media engagement is going to be on Minds. The fact that I can see anything that anyone posts, and it's not going to be censored because of whatever political view they may have or whatever religious viewpoint they may have, is quite possibly one of the most important things we can have as netizens, if you will, to be able to engage and spread and share ideas. So love what you're doing, Bill. Love the platform, and I'm all about it.
Nice, man. I'm curious, how's your engagement been? Have you been building up a little community? Have you been boosting stuff?
I have not been boosting so much yet, and I was hoping actually maybe I could ask just so everyone that's going to listen to this, if you could maybe just double click on, no pun intended, how people could earn the Minds token, maybe how they can spend it, and then maybe the more tech savvy, how to set up a node, because I'd be really curious in that third one especially.
Yeah, so you earn every day based on upvotes you receive, comments, shares, referrals that you make, even just checking in, you earn a little bit. We have to be careful with that one because people try to game it with bots,
sure,
hitting it. But we really just want to encourage activity. And then you get a score for all of those actions every day. And then based on your score divided by the total score of everyone on the network, that's your percentage of the daily token reward pool. So, I'm typically earning, and just FYI, we didn't give tokens to founders. We really tried to keep this economy as fair as possible. We're not treated any differently than any user. But yeah, I'll typically earn like a few tokens a day. One token will give you 1,000 extra impressions when you boost. I just recommend, and you can also buy tokens. Our whole revenue model is fueled by tokens. So basically, one token's only like 15 cents right now. And that's 1,000 views. 1,000 views on Facebook is like $8. Granted, it's more targeted because of surveillance. But
if you can get it through, if you can get it through.
Yeah, if you can even boost. Yeah. So basically, we sell the tokens and we don't register that as revenue until they get redeemed for like boost, or you can upgrade your account and whatnot. But we literally left fiat. Like our whole business is fueled by this. It's not an ICO. It's how our business works. So we've taken a big bet on it, and we've been seeing good growth. So I'll shoot all you guys a few tokens to play around with, because I think it's really interesting. It's really impactful to boost everything you do, because you will immediately start feeling the effect and the engagement.
What's your user base right now?
We're like 1.5 million registered, like 250,000 active.
Okay, that's pretty good, I would say. Probably much better than most of the decentralized or semi-decentralized social media platforms.
Well, I heard a crazy number today at ETH Denver that, guess how many DApp users there are active?
Oh, Not
Very few. For ETH dApps or overall dApps?
ETH dApps.
Very small. 90% get 0 users a day.
Yeah, it's like 8,000 total.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it just hasn't quite picked the steam, or just hasn't happened yet.
It's gas. Gas is,
Yep.
A killer.
This is why and this isn't really what we're supposed to be talking about today, but
let's do the news.
This is why I'm a huge believer in Tron over Ethereum, and I believe it will eventually pass it, because I know, developers say that it's so much easier to build on Tron. It's the same language, but you don't have to use the gas. And the way the Tron uses bandwidth, it allows much more freedom. Forrest from Hoshoshi, the YouTube channel, he's talked about a good bit. He said when he started building on Tron, he was like, holy crap, this is so freeing. I feel free. I can actually do more. And I'm not a developer, so I don't understand the inner workings of, how you use the gas to actually develop. But I do know that, they say it's much easier to do. So what you got there? Oh, don't cover up that Ethereum shit.
I mean, I think gas is important, and it's an important incentive. And, Ethereum is, I'm pretty sure, far more decentralized than Tron. So, but they're doing interesting things. I thought the BitTorrent acquisition was a smart move.
Yeah, because you were talking before we came on. Mines works with torrenting as well, or what were you were saying something about not uTorrent, something else torrent. You said
WebTorrent.
Yes,
it's like it leverages. It helps serve video in the browser. So like everyone's browser is essentially helping with the bandwidth of, like when a video goes viral, we don't have to pay for all those costs centrally. Like the users can sort of help out.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, I think BitTorrent is a thing that really, that's what got me to stop making fun of Tron. I made fun of it for a long time, but I think that's huge. I think torrenting and seeding in the future is going to become bigger and bigger and bigger. It's not just to download, an illegal copy of Pirates of the Caribbean. You know what I mean? Like that's not all it's used for. So, well, cool. Well, thanks for sharing all that. You guys make sure you check it out. Is it mines.io or mines.com?
.com.
Mines.com. You guys make sure to check it out. So let's jump into the news stories, I guess. Jay, what's our first topic of the day?
Let's talk Binance delistings.
That's a great one. So just a quick summary of the Binance delistings this week, and this story kind of ties in with the centralization versus decentralization theme. Binance delisted 5 different projects this week. The 3 most notable ones being Substratum, Salt, and Cloakcoin. So those are probably the 3 most notable. Also Wings, and I can't remember the 5th one. I don't have it right in front of me. But I mainly want to talk about those 3 that got delisted. Do you guys know anything about any of those projects? I guess Armando, you first.
I was an early, very tiny investor in Substratum from a cousin of mine in North Carolina. Shout out Jason, who's
you're not that tiny. You're big to me, Armando.
I'm not going to go there. So small investor, and it quickly went away in terms of value, and just not a big fan. I think the whole decentralized idea of having the decentralized web 3.0 and all that, so many companies doing that, whether it's Tron, Cardano, etc. Salt, I was unaware that Salt was a recent delisting, and I have to giggle because I'm a huge fan of Celsius Network and what they're doing, and that just kind of helps things that much more. And it's the other ones I'm not too up on.
And Celsius, big partnership announced last week with Monarch, who is the sponsor of our Twitter shout-out segment we usually do on our regular weekday episodes. But can you tell us a little bit about what you know about that partnership and what makes that big?
Sure. So Monarch Token, monarchtoken.io, Robert Beatles and company, recently partnered up with Alex Mashinsky and the Celsius team to basically allow for the interest earning ability to store your crypto, much like the Celsius Network app. You've been able to do that pretty much almost since day one. The partnership will now allow, probably at the end of the month, based on a recent Telegram thread, that by the end of the month, you're going to be able to stash your crypto in your Monarch wallet and earn interest just like you can on Celsius, which is just a game changer for so many of us.
That's incredible. That team's been working so hard. I mean, I think we've talked about this on the show where, like, if you look at their roadmap, I mean, for what we consider right now a bear market, these guys are crushing it.
Yeah.
And they're self-funding. You know, there's no ICO. They're not trying to like leech all these people's money and then blow it. They're grinding away in a basement somewhere, just making it happen. And I tip my cap.
Yeah.
Oh,
for
100%.
sure.
Give me that respect meme or GIF. The respect.
Would you actually make your own GIFs, Jay Chains?
I do. I'll make.
I want to make my own for sure. So, Bill, what about you? Do you know anything about any of those projects that were delisted?
I'm not going to be your high authority on those, so I'll pass on this one.
Okay, yeah. So, but it is relevant because, to kind of what you guys are doing at Minds, because Binance is completely centralized, and they have the ability to take projects on and off at a whim, or in the case of Digibyte and Elastos, able to keep them off when they probably should be on there. So, well, what do you think about an exchange that has, that much power and that much control that can just, list and delist projects at a whim?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, do you feel like it is sort of a similar sort of deplatforming type situation as is happening on social media, or do you feel like, there's a difference between, projects, quote unquote, having a right to be listed versus having a right to speak? It seems like, I don't think I would put them on quite the same level, but I do see the comparison that you're making. Well,
but here's the question. Would we have put, the early days of Facebook when it was starting to make little tweaks to its algorithms that affected things, we could have made the same argument back then, like, well, they've changed a little bit, but they're not suppressing free speech, So at this point, like, yes, I agree with you. And if you look at all the projects that Binance has delisted, I think they're all legitimate projects that probably needed to be delisted. If you look back at Bitcoin, lending platforms such as Salt, like, it's really hard to trust them, especially like, I don't know if you guys know this is real crazy. I did a review on Salt, and they have their own price for their token. It might be trading X number of dollars on exchanges, but they set the cost on there much, much higher. Like, okay, you have to buy these tokens for us, and we're going to set the value no matter what the fair market says, which is really crazy. So anyways, yeah. It was super strange. And obviously, don't know much about Cloakcoin other than I knew some people that were promoting it, and now they're not. And, as far as Substratum, I mean, when you come out and say you're going to try to day trade the investments that people gave you in order to keep your project alive, and then you short Ethereum at the very absolute bottom, like that probably isn't good. So that was a terrible look for the whole crypto community when they did that. But so all these projects, like, they probably legitimately deserve to be left out. But I look at projects like Digibyte and projects like Elastos, where refusing to list them, it really is, it seems personal, it seems personal. And when we're talking about the biggest exchange in the world that has the ability to drastically change prices of projects based on whether or not they list them or delist them, like, that sounds like too much centralization to me.
Well, that was the whole 2017, right? Like, the whole bull run. It's like, oh my God, who's going to get blasted up on Binance next? If you get listed on Binance, your investors are, high five, because everyone's going crazy. And that's how it went. Like, they controlled the market almost. And now they're doing this, and you saw this with Bitcoin or BTT. You're going to see it coming up soon when they launch the next one. I mean, every time they launch a coin, it goes through the roof, and then it's going to go down and then back up, kind of like what you saw.
And so this brings up another interesting point, which is I've got, on my personal YouTube channel, BitBoy Crypto, I don't do ICO reviews anymore. I quit doing those. I'm not saying that I will never do another single one again if I felt like it was actually a worthwhile, project. Like BTT wasn't an ICO, it was a token sale, but something that feels like it's got something like that behind it that was legitimate. But, one of the ways that I'm going to start, making money on the channel, I guess, or monetizing the channel is through, like, maybe some different exchange reviews and things like that. And, it brings up the point of, do we need more exchanges? Because I've got new exchanges reaching out to me every day saying, can you review my project? Of course, I, pick and choose which ones. But, there's a very important, idea going around right now, which is that the same way that we need different social media platforms in order to decentralize all of social media, not just one platform, do we need, what do you think, Bill? Do you think we need many, many more exchanges that are quality in order to decentralize Binance's power?
Yeah, generally, yes. I think more diversity is healthy. It's been interesting for us because obviously all of the stuff with the SEC going on, we don't engage the secondary market. I mean, and just we can't. So but in terms of I'm interested in diversity, but I also understand that centralized exchanges, they have a lot of liability on their shoulders. When they're listing tokens that are putting them at risk, I don't know the process, but I'm imagine that's probably at the top of the list for the reasons why they're doing it. And yeah, I mean, personal vendettas probably come into it too, and that's dangerous. So yeah, I would say the more the merrier.
Yeah, and I don't.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say I worked for an exchange for a little bit, so there was some NDA stuff that I had to sign, so I can't discuss a lot of things. But there are things that go back and forth between the exchange and the project for liability purposes. That there are agreements signed for liability's sake. Just to
jump
protect.
in here real quick, if I may.
No, Armando. Next topic. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I'm already on my way there, but not all mine, thankfully. It's one thing to be a centralized exchange. It's one thing to have, all the power in one particular area so that you can transact quickly. I know it's one of the pros of a centralized exchange, is much faster, et cetera. But be honest about it. Don't proclaim yourself to be, whether that's CZ or whoever else, don't proclaim yourself to be some arbiter of this, blockchain decentralized movement when you're giving a thumbs up to some projects, a thumb down to other projects. It's just inconsistent with your message, So I think if we just have more transparency, and Bill, I know you guys talk about that a lot with Minds. If you're just honest with your consumer base, I can at least feel better about using your service rather than I'm stuck using you. You're the biggest one, and hopefully some of the projects I can invest in are still okay with you to keep listed. Not to mention they charge an arm and a leg in your firstborn just to be listed on their exchange in the first friggin' place. It's a big scam, but they're not honest about it, and that's probably my biggest issue.
That's a great point. I mean, can you name a single open source centralized exchange? Probably not. And how much of their process is transparent. I think that's really what I would like to see, because, centralized exchanges, as you just said, Armando, I mean, for where we are at in the evolution of the market, they provide faster services, and there's reasons for that. It's the same way why social media sites use central servers because of those benefits. But I want to see one who has the balls to open source their code, and then they can spawn diversity. They could say, hey, take our code, set up your own exchange based on our stack,
and then it becomes decentralized. Truly,
yeah.
Well, great. Well, speaking of centralization, I just got this in right here, a breaking news story. Bitcoin is dead. Bank has their own crypto now. I don't know if you guys heard about that. Just in, Bitcoin is dead. I saw this story going around. They were talking about it on CNBC about how Bitcoin is dead now because JP Morgan has come out with their own coin. And here's really what I want to talk about in this. This is our second topic, because I think this is just the irony is so thick here. Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, obviously the coin being XRP, came out this week and said that, how dare JP Morgan come out with their own coin to use internally for their bank and their wholesale clients when, that's just more of the same old banking system, right? So the irony of XRP to come out and say that, what do you guys think? It's kind of like, pot calling the kettle black, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, it's proprietary crypto. I don't mess with it. I won't even touch it.
Yeah, I mean, Forbes came out today and said it's not even a cryptocurrency. I mean, yeah, it's a coin, but really isn't a crypto.
But it's still ERC20 based. So does that give it some legitimacy as a cryptocurrency?
And that's, I'm still trying to find out, is it technically an ERC20? It is built on Ethereum, but not all Ethereum tokens are ERC20s, but it's definitely built on Ethereum. So
it could be ERC 728 or
721. Those are non-fungible, so it's definitely fungible. But I would think there are. I don't know how many there are. So I haven't seen the term ERC20 specifically used. It's built on another platform. I can't remember the name of the platform. It's built on a platform on top of Ethereum. So maybe I should look that up. Maybe you guys have heard of it. I had not heard of it before. But yeah, so for people to think that this is going to, the banks are going to have their internal cryptocurrencies and this is going to affect Bitcoin is like totally missing the point of Bitcoin.
Yeah. And go ahead, Bill.
No, I was just going to say that you only have, or at least I only have so much time to put into different projects. And, for me, it's just, if it's not an open blockchain, I'm just not going to be involved. I'm not saying that, banks can't do their thing. It's just not something that I'm interested in putting energy into.
They've proven themselves to be so untrustworthy. Why are they going to start being trustworthy?
Because most people are lemmings. Pomp had a great, Anthony Pompliano, Pomp on Twitter, had a great tweet just about 4 hours ago. He says, from 1834 to 1971, someone could redeem gold for their dollar bills. Right, then we went off the gold standard, et cetera. Today, JP Morgan claims you can redeem $1 for every JPM coin. Eventually, the bank will get greedy and not allow redemptions too. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, they were talking so much smack too. I mean, I feel like this time last year they were saying that crypto is just not viable, and now they're just on the bandwagon. It's ridiculous.
Well, I've said for a long time that the only way that cryptocurrency will ever be able to be destroyed is from the inside. It's from them, playing the if you can't beat them, join them game. And so all this lines up with that. I don't think it's, unfortunately for them, the movement of cryptocurrency, while it is still a small community, those of us that believe in it passionately and vigorously. And as long as we exist, then, Bitcoin will never die. And the dream of decentralization will never die. So, well, as far as XRP goes, and how it kind of plays into this. So I did a video the other night, and when this news first broke that this was out, and this was before Brad Garlinghouse even made a comment about it, and I was having a hard time figuring out, is JPM Coin an actual competitor to XRP? And so it looked like the answer was no. Like, no, it's not a direct competitor to XRP. But after talking to a few people and researching this a little bit, it turns out it's kind of an indirect threat to XRP for the simple fact that if, the point of XRP right now, we're not going to talk about their decentralized platform they're supposed to have in the future that will still be centralized. We're just talking about the XRP coin itself, right? The point of it is to settle cross-border transactions with the XRapid system. Few other uses of it in terms of their XCurrent and XVIA systems or platforms. But, the thing is if banks are going to have their own coins, right? If let's say the top 5 major banks in the world, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, they all come up with their own individual coins, that negates the need for XRP. So do you guys think that this news might be bad news for XRP?
I think so. I think they're going to play it. They're going to play it down as not. But I think that, like what you just said, like if every bank, and by the way, if Wells Fargo ever came out with a coin, I would never buy it. That is like the worst bank in the world. But anyway, I think that, yes, currently this is probably not good news for Ripple and XRP, but I think they have probably a way to get over it and get beyond it as long as every bank doesn't come out with their own coin, I think, because like you said, that would replace the need for it.
Well, the problem or the thing, so we all make fun of XRP, right? I mean, you have two kinds of people. You have people that are invested in XRP and love it, and then you have everybody else that hates it. XRP and Tron, for whatever reason, are the two coins out there that people are the most polarized on. It's either nobody's like a little bit invested. Like, yeah, I kind of like it. It's either you really love it or you really, really hate it, and you hate their community too. And the thing about XRP, while we all give them a really hard time for the obvious centralization, right? The way that the coin and the companies are set up, the company is set up, right? Like, we give them a hard time about that. It doesn't really fit with cryptocurrency. But one thing they've actually done an incredible job at is cultivating their community. And with their community, once they're able to come out with this Codius platform, which is going to be a similar platform to Tron, to EOS, to Ethereum, it's going to have dApps on it, the whole 9 yards. If they can get their community kind of bridge the gap between now and when that platform comes out and get their community excited about it and developers building on it, there's a chance, even if that does happen, that they still could survive just from the sheer strength of the people behind them. What do you guys think?
Honestly, he or she with the greatest war chest for marketing will win in the eyes of the masses. Most people have no idea this is even going on, but XRP markets their face off, but they're going up against a titan in JP Morgan. So really, at the end of the day, I have one word about this whole thing. Next.
Yeah, it's to me, I mean, it's kind of like one of those things where, gosh, I'm so guilty of it sometimes where, I talk about like, we shouldn't really want, I don't know, if there's people in your community that are invested in projects, like, you should want those projects to succeed for the people in your community, like, on one hand, unless, obviously somebody came out with Hitler coin, like, we don't want to promote that, you know what I'm saying? But, there's a lot of people in my community that are invested in XRP, obviously. I'm not. I speak out against it a pretty good bit. But, the fact is XRP is, it's a centralized banking coin. And I think ultimately it's bad for crypto the way it's set up now. So, yeah, it's almost like there's a part of me that wants to see it fail, or a large part of me that wants to see it fail, but I don't want people to get hurt in the middle. Does that make sense?
It could be that Ripple is that, and I'm forgetting the term for it, right? It's like what you learned in DARE class, like the gateway drug, right? It's like that's what's going to get people into it, and you're like, whoa, wait a second, I don't want to be any part of this, but get me into this rest of the crypto world. I think that would serve a great purpose for Ripple. It's just to bring people in. It's a safe way for you to get entry, learn it in a safe way, and then realize, you know what, this isn't for me. I want that.
Yeah, I can see that. That's a big debate, it's kind of a philosophical question, which is, if XRP is the way that people come into crypto, but then once they're in, they learn more about it, then does that make it a good or bad thing?
Is it though? I mean, honestly, I just don't hear many stories of people, that having their first crypto experience with XRP.
I would definitely disagree with that.
Right? It's Bitcoin. Now. I mean, Bitcoin is by far the most popular first coin for people to get.
But when they see that price tag, they shy away because most people don't have $3,600 underneath their mattress.
Right, but we're not even talking about $3,600. We're talking about where it was before. We're talking about somewhere between $8,000 and $20,000, which makes it even more unbelievable. You may be shocked to find this out, but in 2018, more people searched how to buy Ripple than how to buy Bitcoin.
But you had to buy Bitcoin to buy Ripple in the first place.
That's great. I mean, that's a good point, but the point is the point is the Google searches. If you look at the interest last year in 2018, in many search terms, Ripple was above. And if you go back to 2017, the fall onto the end of the year, Ripple and Bitcoin Cash were the two things that really pushed that bull run. The fork that came out, the anticipation of the fork, and then the fork, I don't know if you guys remember when it got listed the first night, it went up to $8,000. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was an unsellable point. You couldn't actually sell at that point, but on Coinbase, the price went up to like $8,000, and then it settled back around $4,000. But I know it's like it for a lot of us, like that's kind of hard to understand why people are so excited about it. But one of the reasons is because CNBC, there's only a few coins they talk about. They talk about Bitcoin Cash, they talk about Bitcoin, they talk about Ripple, and they talk about Ethereum. And I don't even think Litecoin is in there. Those are the main ones they talk about. So I know a lot of people.
You bring up a good thing with Litecoin. I don't mean to cut you off, but Litecoin, that was, I think, something we wanted to touch on today too, because that thing, pump it.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. Well, we can go ahead and transition here to Litecoin, because it actually, for a brief period in time, was the number 4 coin. It pumped 30% last week, or maybe that was early last week. And a lot of people are excited about Litecoin right now. They see the prospects of the halving that's coming up. Or halvening. I like to call it halvening because it sounds easier.
The halvening. They got that UFC partnership, where they partnered with the UFC.
Yeah, they also had another partnership recently, and somebody asked me this week that they asked me something that to me like blew my mind, that people could even be entertaining this. Like, do you think that Litecoin could ever pass Bitcoin? I was like, no, not at all. Like, there's no chance. But here's one of the interesting things that has came up with Litecoin, right? And this is something I kind of want to talk about. One of the reasons people believe that Litecoin pumped, other than just the strict psychological technical analysis side of it, which a lot of people thought it was right, is that, the prospects of possibly implementing the Mimblewimble protocol, and which some people think is already kind of a done deal for Litecoin, and being able to enable private sends, private transactions like a privacy coin with Litecoin. We already see Dash that has that option. You can do private send with Dash already. But a lot of people think that it's not actually private. You can still track down those transactions. But do you guys think if Litecoin were to actually enable private transactions, optional, do you guys think that that would kill the rest of the privacy coins?
No. I'll let you guys talk first.
Bill, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, no, I don't think that it's going to kill the privacy coins. I think that privacy features are only going to add more interest to whoever adopts it. But no, I think that you have all these communities, you have unique use cases for everything, and I don't think that we're going to see most established tokens just like disappear from the face of the earth.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. If Litecoin does implement Mimblewimble and all that good stuff with the privacy features, and it does take off, all that's going to do is get the attention of the bigger players and say, okay, that's something we need to implement. And then Litecoin will then go back to its 4th, 5th place or wherever it is on CoinMarketCap.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with you guys on that.
You think it'll shut it down?
I think that Litecoin becoming first of all, Litecoin has the name and it has trust. And, I think that if it is able to implement, now a lot of people think Bitcoin also is potentially going to implement this, which will be very interesting. But keeping specifically on Litecoin, I think this will really hurt Zcash. It will really hurt Monero. It will really hurt other privacy coins, because if you have an option to send privately and to keep transactions locked away so people can't see them, but then it's Litecoin, right? So you're once all regulation is shaken down, unless this hurts Litecoin, Litecoin's going to be one of those coins that I think fares well against regulation because it's totally decentralized. And, could that actually mean that people could have Litecoin, send private transactions without, if let's say the IRS started digging around, and still be able to cash those out? Because the problem with privacy coins in the future, in my opinion, is going to be impossible to kind of cash those out in different, in the United States, whatever it might be. And probably what that's going to produce for like Monero is a completely it's going to be black market, basically. Something like Monero is going to be black market. So that black market can set its own price value on those. But at the end of the day, if people aren't able to cash those out, it won't actually have value. Does that make sense?
It's a great point. I mean, that's something that I've never even thought of with, like say for instance, like I'm bullish on Apollo. I mean, some of the privacy stuff that they've implemented. I mean, you're not seeing that on any other projects. With like the Tor and the IP masking and all that stuff. Okay, when you go to cash that out, you got to cash it out of Apollo. You can't spend Apollo anywhere. I mean, there are some web stores, and I think it's going to be added in the WooCommerce. But what am I going to cash out my millions and buy a bunch of T-shirts? No.
Well, I've put a lot of thought into this. I think that what this is ultimately going to produce is a place in the world where you can go to cash them out at. We kind of look at something like Switzerland, which is known for having private bank accounts, right? That's why Swiss bank account. You may not know this, but Switzerland won't let anybody else in those bank accounts. That's why they're locked away. They're private. You guys have seen the movie Wolf of Wall Street. That's a great movie that shows the power of a Swiss bank account. He's having to go back and forth to Switzerland, and turns into a lot of problems in the movie, obviously. But, we might have some places in the world that kind of become, whatever country it might be. Malta, I don't know. I don't know if it'll be Malta for the simple fact that I think, the blockchain community is going to want Malta to stay fairly pure since it's known as Blockchain Island. But, you might have one place. As long as there's one place where people can cash out something that's a total privacy coin, then, they'll still have a future. But if you have an option to where, you can guard your transactions or you cannot, and then you can still cash your coin out, then I think that makes more sense for, for nefarious activities, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Wyoming. We'll
Is
make
that a
shirts. I sold my Bitcoins in Wyoming.
Well, cool. Well, okay, let's move on. Since I'm gonna give myself a point and give all you guys a negative point on that one. So I'm wrong.
All right, Tony Reale.
Oh, around the horn action. You guys may not know this, but me and Armando are starting a podcast with Andy from the Point Boys, a sports podcast.
Nice. Look forward to listening to that.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be me going back and forth with Armando and Andy in the middle. So it'll be lots of fun. We don't even have a name yet. Yeah, maybe y'all can give us some name suggestions. But and then me and Armando will argue about the name.
And maybe we'll stream it on Minds. Maybe we can do that, Bill. Maybe you can help us out with that.
Let's do it. We just launched a video chat which can stream to YouTube. But yeah, we're working on our own live streaming. It leverages Jitsi, which is open source encrypted video chat software. It's pretty solid. Like Snowden has even endorsed Jitsi. So
I think I saw that.
Tangent.
Yeah. Awesome.
Old Snowden.
How's he doing? That's a news show. That's news. How's he doing?
He's still in Russia.
Yeah, forever?
Well, they say he's not rushing to get out of there. You guys,
Terrible.
that's why y'all tune in for those jokes right there. Everybody knows. And it's bad because my 7-year-old kid today is like he's finally started like understanding how to make puns and how to make dad jokes, after being around me for so long. And so like now he explains his thought process behind all his little dad jokes he makes, and I'm like, oh, you poor kid, you're gonna be worse than me, and I'm the worst. So, but okay, so let's move on to the last story of the day. The Lightning Network has been all over the news. It's been the Lightning Torch. I don't know if you guys know about that, but it's basically a Twitter game where different influencers on Twitter, but probably influencers is not the right word. CEOs of companies, of Eric Voorhees, Jack Dorsey, all of these guys have been involved in it, and so it's been making news that there's new apps using Lightning Network, and basically the way that the game works is you pass a transaction to the next person, and then that person adds a few satoshis and then sends it to the next person. So they've been trying to get Elon Musk and Kobe Bryant to take it, but they haven't taken it yet. So, but the point is, Jack Dorsey's heavily involved with Lightning Labs. He's the CEO of Twitter and of Square, which is very interesting. He is a Bitcoin maximalist, but he was actually on the Joe Rogan show. He was on the Joe Rogan show, I believe, early last week or the end of the week before, and he was talking about Bitcoin. He told Joe Rogan that, he believes that Bitcoin will become the currency of the internet. And so what do you guys think? Do you guys think that it's good for do you guys feel like it's good to have people with such big names promoting specifically Bitcoin only? Or do you think that that's bad in cryptocurrency in general for them to just be promoting Bitcoin as the end-all be-all of crypto? Does that make sense?
If said person with a big name was not in bed with mainstream media and censoring people's accounts, I might hold it in a slightly different regard. Later on in that same podcast, he talked about all of the reasons, which were nonsensical and completely vapor, about why certain accounts got completely shadow banned and the like. So for him to say all the stuff on the front end of the podcast, it's baby out with the bathwater for me. Jackson's useless.
Dang. Man, you cold-blooded, dog. He's cold-blooded, dog.
Our crypto turb now shadow banned on Twitter.
I'm pretty much waiting for it. It's only a matter of time.
I completely agree. I mean, I echo that. It's good that he's supporting Bitcoin. That is positive. But it's so hypocritical how he's simultaneously acknowledging, oh, this open system for the money of the internet, and then meanwhile Twitter is this closed system, totally locked down, rife with inconsistency and censorship and privacy issues. And so I'm so curious why all of these executives of the closed source Silicon Valley establishment don't enact meaningful change to their own platforms. Like I would never be able to live with myself being that inconsistent. So I don't understand, basically.
What is it that makes all these guys raging liberals that hate freedom? I'll just say it. I'll just say it out loud. Like what is it? Do you think that Jack and Mark Zuckerberg had the same ideas politically that they have now as the CEOs of these large companies before they started these projects? Or what is it about running? And maybe, Bill, you'll know this in the future. Maybe you'll become one by owning a social media platform. What is
chase
it?
Me down.
and I'm not trying to turn this into a political discussion, because God knows I hate talking politics. But what do you guys think it is that makes all these social media platforms act in unison in almost the same way? And Armando, please do not throw out lizard people, because I know that's where you're leading.
No, definitely not lizard people. That's for different podcasts. But Bill, go ahead. I'll wait. I'll sit on my hands for a little bit.
All right. It was funny on that podcast. Jack was like, "Oh, I'm not on Facebook." Acting as if he tries to act as if Twitter is somehow different from Facebook. And he's been doing this podcast tour, going on like the Sam Harris podcast, going on Rogan, acting trendy, acting like he's aware of these things. But every time, he even went on Gad Saad's podcast, who's like a professor, very anti-censorship, pro-free speech. And on all of these podcasts, when they asked him about various bannings that took place, he literally didn't give a clear answer one time. He even acted like he didn't know why Jones got banned. He literally said, "I don't know." I mean, what I can say is that the chances of him actually not knowing, first of all, we all know, because Twitter said that the reason it happened was because he confronted that CNN reporter at some congressional hearing, some CNN reporter who was trying to get Jones deplatformed. So Twitter even said that was the reason, and then Jack said that he didn't know what the reason was. And it's a big mess. And to try to answer your question, I think there's so much political and social pressure, and it goes along with the demonetization happening on YouTube, and ultimately these companies have been, they've built an infrastructure that is beholden to so many forces outside of their control. Like Patreon, the whole fiasco there. Carl Benjamin gets banned. Yeah. Sam Harris then boycotts it. I mean, look, Patreon, their overlords are Stripe and the payment processors. So, when you have overlords, guess what? That's going to happen.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, it's control, it's money, and it's power. And as long as the people running the show, and not the Democrats, not the Republicans, but the real people that run the whole show, they have their hands in everything, to all the stuff that we consume. And the biggest ways that we as the people, especially Americans, because we're the most dominant country on the planet still, is through the mainstream media, social media, and sports and entertainment. And if you can control that, you can control the masses. And they're all in bed with each other. And if Jack or Zuckerberg ever get out of line, they're going to wake up one day and actually not wake up. It'll be a heart attack.
Well, it's interesting you say that, or just in terms of if they get out of line or whatever. But a lot of people think Jack Dorsey's one of the worst CEOs out there, because I don't know if you guys. There's a huge difference between Facebook and Twitter. Huge difference. Facebook actually makes money. Twitter doesn't make any money. The Twitter ad program is broken at best. It's terrible. And after all of these years, they still haven't found a way to monetize Twitter, which is absolutely insane to me. So a lot of people think that if Jack Dorsey were to step away from Twitter, it would actually get a lot better and would actually be profitable for, shareholders and things
But
like
what
that.
if I told you that wasn't the point for Twitter? What if I told you that it's not to make money, but just to be another arm of the inundation of the information and messages they want the people who flip their screens all day long to see and consume? Because if you're backed by all these other people, you don't need to make money. They're paying you off. They're paying for it. You don't need to make money.
Well,
That's
Armando,
such a cool point.
well, I just have a question for you, Armando. Right now, you have a virtual background. I don't know if you can see it, and it is a spherical. It is a spherical object. Is that the Earth behind you? That's a sphere that I see.
So
Let's not get into it.
No.
Please no.
You went there. I'm going to go there with two sentences. Yes, that's from Zoom because I have a green screen behind me, and this is a representation of the heliocentric globular model. That's a theory that's been pushed for the last 200 plus years. That's all I'll say.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. I got a feeling that this will not be the last time we bring up the flat Earth on a.
Nope.
Hey, you're coming on the next episode.
No, we do not want to have that.
Aliens and flat Earth. That's what
we about came to blows over it, I think. So we'll see. That's probably a little strong. But anyways, guys, that's all we got today. We covered, 4 pretty big news stories going on. We talked about Minds.com. So, Bill, can you just tell everybody where they can find you at and how they can get on Minds?
Minds.com/Ottman, OTTMAN. I'm off everywhere else. So I'm open to, bring the other open source decentralized options to me, and I'll be there. I want to federate with them. I think that we can really get more interoperability with alternative social networks. So it's, we're not just trying to push our own thing. Like this is a community of networks.
Awesome.
So could we post the podcast on Minds?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, let's make sure we follow up and get you guys set up.
Cool. Yeah, we'll do that.
Perfect. As long as J-Chains has to do the work, we'll do it. I love it.
You son of a gun.
And Armando, tell the people where they can find you.
Also, minds.com/ArmandoB. That Dorsey company with the blue bird, also at Armando B. And that's pretty much it. YouTube.com/ my full name, Armando Balancioni. But it's
Armando, ARMONDO. Or ADO.
Got it.
Or Indio, Armando. Because I had usually seen it spelled with an A in the middle instead of an O. So if you
That's
guys
more Latino, man. The Spanish speakers, they get that A in the middle. But if you got the O, you're Guido.
Nice.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, that's all we got today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk to you guys later.
Rock on. Thanks, guys. That was fun.
Blessings.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for listening to Beards and Bitcoins. If you like what you heard, show these guys some love and rate review on SoundCloud or iTunes. Also, remember you can always find the guys on social media. The show Twitter page is @BeardsBitcoins. You'll find direct links to BitBoy and J-Chains from there. Make sure you check for updates, announcements, and contests. Good luck to all who enter. See you next time.